this video is about how to use the cosine rule for non-right angle triangles to find either a side length or an angle. So you'll notice at the top that I've drawn a diagram of how we label non-right angle triangles. Opposite sides and angles are labelled with the same letter. Okay, capital letters for angles, lowercase letters for side lengths. And then I've written down the cosine rule there. So a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos A. So a more complicated rule to use. Off to the side here, I've also got a little bit of a think bubble. To help you with the cosine rule, it's best if you always label the unknown side or angle, so the thing that you are trying to find, with an A. If you do that, then this rule becomes much easier to use. If you try and label your unknown sides with a B or a C, the rule doesn't really work properly. So that's really important to remember that. You're always labeling your unknown side with an A. If we start by finding the side length, this is our unknown side here. Okay, it's got an X on it, so that's the side that we're going to call A. Automatically, that means its opposite angle must be a capital A, and then the other two sides don't really matter, but I'm going to call this one B and this one C. Alright, so our first step is always to write the rule. So there's our rule written down, and then we're going to substitute into it with the information that we've been given. So we don't know our side length A, it's going to be an X squared. B was 42 squared plus 38 squared minus 2 times 42 times 38, and then cos of 109 degrees, because that's our angle in the triangle that we've been given. Alright, our next step is to simply do some calculations to simplify things. So, I'm going to work out what 42 squared plus 38 squared is. Okay, and then I'm also going to calculate what 2 multiplied by 42 multiplied by 38 is. Alright, so that's simplified our equation a little bit for us. If you need to, you can go one step further and calculate 3,192 multiplied by cos 109, but it's going to mean that you're rounding off very early during your equation. So if possible, try and leave that all in one step. And we've only actually got one more thing to do. Because this is an x squared on this side of the equation, we have to do the square root of what's left over. So I'm going to leave all of that there. Okay, and put a big square root sign over everything. When you type that in your calculator, it's probably handy if you put brackets around this part here, and possibly even brackets around everything that's underneath your square root sign. So it might take a couple of tries to enter it in your calculator, but once you've got it, okay, if you've typed in correctly, we should get an answer of 65.17 centimetres as our missing side length there. So that's how we would use the cosine rule to find the side length. The most difficult part, being honest, is typing that correctly into your calculator. If you can do that, then you should be right. Alright, second example is how we would use the cosine rule to find an angle. Slightly more difficult type of question. Notice for this one, I've been given all three sides on my triangle, and then from there I could have actually found any of the missing angles, but we've marked this side there as our theta, so that's the one we're looking for. Remembering our little rule that we always label our unknown with an A means I'm going to make this angle down here A, which in turn makes that side length over there A. The other two don't really matter, so I'm going to go B and C, like that. Okay. First step, writing our rule down. and then we're going to fill in the information as part of our rule there. So A is 0.9, B is 1.3, 2.1 for C, minus 2 times 1.3 times 2.1 cos, and we're going to put a theta in for A because we don't know, that's what we're trying to find. Again, our first step is to just try and simplify some of those calculations. So using your calculator, you're going to work out what 0.9 squared is, which is 0.81. Okay, we're going to do this part here, so 1.3 squared plus 2.1 squared to give us an answer of 6.1. And we're going to work out 2 multiplied by 1.3 multiplied by 2.1 to give an answer of 5.46. So that's the line we're at now. Now it's really tempting to go, oh, I can do 6.1 minus 5.46. We actually can't because of the order of operations. This 5.46 is multiplying by cos, which means the multiplication has to become before the subtraction. So if you do 6.1 minus 5.46, you'll actually end up with the wrong answer. The correct next step is to take this 6.1 back across the other way. Because it's a positive 6.1 here, when we take it to the other side of the equal sign, it's going to turn into a subtract or a negative. Now a couple of things. Okay, so that's changed into a negative there. Because there was a takeaway, so it was take 5.46, that actually stays on this side of the equal sign. So that's now a negative 5.46 when we come to work with it. Using a calculator you can work that out. It's negative 5.29. Okay, final step. We talked about the fact that negative 5.46 is multiplying by cos. So when it comes across the other side, it's going to divide. Now again, if possible, I would try and leave that fraction the way that it is. Okay, if you put that on your calculator, you're just going to get a really long string of decimals, and we want to keep our answer accurate. So as our final step, we would take cos across this side and do the inverse of cos. Okay, if you put all of that into your calculator, hopefully you would get an answer of 14.34 degrees because we're finding an angle in this case. So that's how you would use the cosine rule to find either a side length or an angle.